Okay, can we start now?
Sure.
Okay. So hello everyone, Shashank Tiwari. So I'm from IIFT Delhi, and I have a 10 months work ex in the IT sector. I'm an engineer, and post that, since joining IIFT, I am specializing in finance and marketing. Yeah, over to you, Vaibhav.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Vaibhav Mehta, and I'm basically a mechanical engineer from NIT Surat, and I have an year's experience as a production supervisor in CK Builder Group company, NPC Bearings. And post joining IFT, I am also specializing in finance majors. So this is about me.
Hi
Uh,
everyone. Hi everyone. I am Bhoomika, and I got a BCom honors from Shahid Bhagat Singh College. Post which I worked with a newspaper company as a newspaper editor for a year. Now I've joined IFT Delhi, and I am here. I am the junior cell coordinator of LitCell here, which is the literary cell of IFT. Over to you, Akshat.
Hello, everyone. I'm Akshat Purohit, and I am a journalism and mass communication graduate. I am a fresher, and I joined IIFT Delhi. I am currently the cultural secretary and a part of the Students' Council, which is the IMF.
Yeah. So Shashank, we can start discussing about IFT examination. So you can
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, so IIFT is of course held in the month of December. This time it has taken 3 weeks after CAT so you've got preparation time also. So first of all, going ahead with the exam pattern. So there are 4 sections: general awareness, DILR, which is data interpretation, logical reasoning, and then comes your quants and verbal ability. You've got 300 marks paper where DI questions in them, according to the last year paper, these things can change. I mean, within a section, these things can change. DI had 16 questions, LR had 14 questions, RC had 16 questions, and verbal had 19 questions, which makes it 35 for the verbal section, which is a huge section in itself. The quant section had 25 questions, and then comes your GA. So first of all, in GA, you have differential marking. In IFT paper, you have differential marking. Like you get 1.5 marks for correct GA answer and zero point 0.5 negative. Whereas in other sections, you get +3 and -1, which is what happens in CAT also. So that is the only X factor in GA. The level of difficulty of the paper varies from year to year, and it is seen that in IIFT, the DILR could be much calculation intensive. We will, of course, during this webinar, we will dive deeper into what strategies can be used to ace each and every section, what strategies we use during our prep, and yes, that's it.
Yeah. So I would also like to emphasize on the examination pattern. As such, there are 4 sections as told by Shashank, and you have like cutoffs on each section that you have to clear individually. So the first goal of any student should be to clear the cutoffs, and then focus on marks maximization. So we have LRDI, VA, and then we have quants and general awareness. So all this section has different questions, different number of questions, and also as told that general awareness has differential marking. So you got 1.5 for all the correct answers and 0.5 negative if you take the wrong answers. So basically, the strategy that I followed was to devote my time judiciously on each sections. Basically, my first goal was to clear the cutoffs of each section. So it's a 2-hour examination, and you have to solve approximately 110 questions. So I basically graded questions on 3 different categories. That is section A, section B, and section C. And section A questions were the most easy questions that were filtered out by me in initial 15 minutes. And I kind of attempted those questions in next 45 minutes, and the primary goal was to clear the cutoffs of each of the section individually. And after that, next 1 hour I devoted it on my strengths. Basically my strengths was lied in LRDI and quants, so I focused more on the quants LRDI, and whatever time that was remaining I focused it on verbal reading comprehension and verbal ability. So basically I went on through this particular strategy. Shashank, you can share your strategy also, basically.
Okay. So, as Vaibhav rightly said, that this is a paper in which you can switch in between sections, right? That kind of liberty doesn't is not present in CAT. So, first of all, your main motto should be to clear the sectional cutoffs. And how to do that? What strategy I can suggest you, what worked for me, what worked for Vaibhav as well, was that you can devote the first 1 hour to each and every section. Right, you can go ahead and solve, and you this also helps in skimming through the whole paper, and you get to know the easier questions at once. So when you're into the paper, the suggestion would be solve 8 to 9 questions from each and every section, so that you're way off the cutoff. And if you find that there is a section, let's take DILR for instance, like it is very difficult and you're only able to solve 5 to 6 questions, then that should hit you. And that's where mocks become, very, very precious. That should hit you right then and there, that this is a tough section and it is tough for everyone. So you can restrict yourself to that. Focus on other sections, right? So clear your sectional cutoffs, 7 to 8 questions, first of all. And then when you have been through the whole paper, you know which section is the easiest, where I can maximize my score. Because in the end, as you can see, right, IIFT exam, you just have to get good marks. It is not that like CAT, that you have a 80 percentile barrier that you have to breach in order to get calls from IIMs. In IIFT, it's like that if you get 10 to 12 marks in each and every section, your cutoffs are clear, right? So this kind of happens. Some of the sections can be quite difficult, but so first of all, summarizing it, clear the sectional cutoffs, maximize your overall score through the easiest section. Do not think that this is my, this is my genre, this is the place where I'm good at. Because papers like IFT, CAT, ZAT, these papers are known for giving tough sections. So maybe it's not your day. You won't be able to ace that section. Let's say you're very good at quants, but now you're not able to solve it during the paper. So you know that verbal is quite easy. Like I'll talk about each and every section in detail. Like in verbal, you get verbal ability also. So verbal ability questions do not take that much time in, to solve, whereas RC does. So you can go ahead and solve verbal ability questions just to gain momentum during the paper, right? So this is something that works for people, and so you can also use the third point, which I would like to discuss, is the question paper mode. Like when you're done with your questions in the second round, go ahead to the question paper mode. You might have used mark for review. You can go to those questions which you are acquainted with. I mean, you're familiar with those kind of questions. You can go ahead in the round two and maximize your score. Okay. So,
Shashank, I guess so. We should go through the comments also, and people have asked us basically two kinds of question. Firstly, I got a question regarding the profile. So a guy asked whether 10 question was basically 12th it's 10, then engineer it's 7 CGPA, and 10th it's 8. So basically I would like to emphasize that currently you should prepare, you should try to maximize or focus on maximizing your scores, as there is also after the examination there is a shortlisting criteria in which stage 1 there is a weightage of IIFT examination is approximately 73%, and all other criteria like the 10 12th and your profile, as well as uh, the diversity impact is on the lesser scale as compared to the examination. So we should try to first focus on maximizing scores of examination according to strategy that you might choose, and then focus on the criterias that are not currently in our hand as such. So we should try to first focus on the maximizing scores by focusing on different sections and playing on our strengths. And secondly, I also got the comment that how should we go on to prepare the GK section. So basically GK or general awareness section consists of two different subcategories. One is the static GK, and second is the dynamic GK. So we can go on preparing the dynamic GK more, as the basically past 6 months I gone. If I share my strategy, I go on preparing the past 6 months major events and major indices like poverty index or hunger index, and that all indices and major events that happened in India as such. And on the static front, only three things were prepared by me, basically the capitals, the currencies, and the countries. Three aspects were prepared by me. So on the GK front, we can go on by this method, wherein we can prepare major events for the last 6 months. And basically trade news should also be taken into consideration, because this being a specialized institute preparing graduates in postgraduates in trade domain, so we should they also tend to ask the trade related questions in that general awareness section, and some important business related information. So we can also talk on some front like the life of IIFT after joining institute. So if Akshat or Bhoomika might like to go on about how would you greet it, how would you be greeted after getting into IIFT. So you can take over, Bhoomika.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Vaibhav. To add to what you just spoke about, I would also like to say, since not a lot of time is left before you guys write IFT, which is like we are only 8 days away from the exam. I think now what you should do for GK is go through the compendiums that have been made by coaching institutes, because they have tried to collate as much as they can that has happened in the past 1 year. You're all expected to know about it, because at IFT we study trade in every domain that we study. So if you're studying marketing, we're studying international marketing. If you're studying trade, we're studying global trade. If you're we are studying shipping services and commodities, and we are learning how custom procedures work. And because since we are going to study all of this here, we are expected to come with some background knowledge about the same. So I think that's a little bit of clarity on that as well. Now if I go on and speak about life at IFT, I have literally seen lives practically change once you come here. So it is not a fallacy that you'll have a good, beautiful, fun life where a lot of batch bonding will go on, and you'll have a lot of friends to make. The academic rigor is going to be hard. The program is designed in such a way that you get to study 10 to 7 courses every trisem. There are times when our seniors have told they have written 17 exams in one go. All of that you have to still go and make all of that happen while you're still working as you're taking one or the other position in the college. So you are a part of some cultural committee, you're a part of some cultural event that's going on, and you're still going through all the academic rigor. I would like to talk about a few things that set IFT apart. One is the trade specialization that we just spoke about. Two, that IFT is very heavily engaged in case competitions, which probably is not the case with a lot of institutions in India. We were ranked the second most competitive B school by Unstop last year. Which kind of shows that we are very heavily invested into learning about how to make pitches, how to go and make sure that we make a substantial real world impact in a way that we solve problems on a daily basis. We have a social awareness program where which also is very interesting, where we get to spend 2 weeks in an NGO in Delhi or around, and we get to work through them with them. I think this helps us sensitize and learn about how to take care of the social aspect of business as well. Yeah, maybe Akshat can speak about a few things, then we can talk about.
Sure, thank you. So I'll just tell you about what goes on in IFT. There are a ton of activities if you wish to stay occupied. The sports culture is by far the most active and engaging. And there is also a very dedicated and motivated cultural team, because the kind of rigor that comes with IFT has to be matched with a certain level of engagements that you can look upon to ensure that you are having a good time as well as you enjoy your MBA life. Apart from that, I think we can take multiple questions that have been posted in the comment box. I think Shashank can take it up. The first question that I can see is that how many mocks should you take before the IFT?
Yeah, so before IFT, I'm audible. Yes. So before IFT, I would suggest that you should take 3 mocks. First of all, after CAT, we used to get only 1 week, right? So we used to write 2 mocks. But I think at this point of time, the strategy that we are suggesting, that you have to solve the paper in 2 rounds, you have to learn how to apply that strategy, and you have to do analysis whether that strategy is working or not for you, right? Its strategy varies from person to person. There is no hard and fast rule that the paper that came last year, the same kind of paper is going to appear this year, because AdMats as well as CAT are known to be quite unpredictable in nature, right? So I would suggest 3 to 4 mocks from now would be more than enough. 2 mocks would be optimum with proper analysis. Okay. So another question, uh, what should be my strategy for the next 7 days by Shivam? Right. So Shivam, for the next 7 days, I can suggest you a section-wise strategy that for GA, go through the compendiums, go through the news of the past 6-7 months. Right. In the last year, in last year's paper, you had got 20 questions in GK, 5 were static and 15 were your current affairs. You get questions from logos, capitals of various countries, match the following, and awards like who won the Nobel Prize and for what. You have to keep those things in mind because these things have appeared in the past few years, right? So go through the compendium, read newspaper. For RC, I would suggest that keep on reading as much as possible. You've been reading, I think for IIFT especially, people do read editorials so that they remain in touch, so they gain knowledge of the current news, the current happenings. And for the VA section, the VA section is not at all tricky, and it maximizes your score, because most of the VA comes from your direct, indirect, grammar, active voice, passive voice, dangling modifiers, typical error correction questions that appear in AdMats, in various other AdMats like in MatSnap. So that's where IIFT differentiate itself from CAT. Coming on to the RC section in verbal, I've got many questions for the verbal section, that how can you be more accuracy effective or time effective, right? Like last year, the RC pattern was 3355. So you got 2 sets of 3 questions RC and 2 sets of 5 questions RC. So how to go about it? The 3 questions RC was a short RC of 500 to 600 words, while the the other RC, the 5 questions RC was huge. It was vast. The best thing about vast RCs, lengthy RCs, are that they give you factual questions. So it is not that you have to read the whole passage in order to answer the questions. You can go ahead with you have just skimmed through the entire passage, go ahead to the question, come back to the passage, and try to find where you read that thing. Those questions are not going to be critical reasoning based. While the 3 question RC was a critical reasoning based set. So it only depends on you whether what kind of RC you are comfortable with. If you are good at reading lengthy RCs and not getting into the intricacies and details of critical reasoning, then that's about it. You can go ahead with those 2 RCs and solve 5 questions. That is sure as hell going to fetch you marks. While if you're good at critical reasoning and if you want to save time for other sections, then the 3 question wala RC plus your VA section can help you maximize your score in verbal ability. Yeah, Norman Lewis and others, like your verbal section also contains foreign words, right? So like fiat accompli or prima facie, these kind of words, the origin of these words, I mean, those kind of questions do appear. So if you've been reading the newspapers, you might have come across these words. With no sectional time limit,
Yeah.
what is yeah,
Shashank, I would like to add one thing here. There are a few books that you can go through right now as well. You can go through a book called Lucent. You can go through the Renan Martin's Norman Lewis book. You can also go through the Word Power Made Easy book for vocabulary and grammar, which comes in IFT. What you can do right now for the 8 days that are left is maybe find a YouTube playlist where you can find somebody dictating or telling you how, or like giving you a summary of Renan Martin or Word Power Made Easy, because these are just words. If you know a few root words, you'll be able to relate where this is going, and you'll be easily able to eliminate at least 3 out of the 4 options. Once you're there, I think half your job is done. So it's not always about knowing the exact meaning of the word in VA, because it will be heavily grammar based, vocabulary based, and RCs will be fairly long. I mean, I remember reading an RC in the last 2 minutes and I was like, I don't really have a lot of time, but I still got that done because the strategies that Shashank talked about, you you have to go and see the questions first, because these are lengthy essays are not meant, they understand that you will not be able to read the entire paper and you will not be able to solve it in one go. So you have to just go and read the question first and probably come up in the RC and look for the keyword there. Once you know this is the area where they're talking about, these are not the critical reasoning based questions as Shashank just spoke about. We can just go back and have a look at -1 and +1 lines, and then you will have a fairly good idea of how to solve them. So probably that can also be a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I'd also like on to add on the two specific things that is related to IIFT examination in particular. So as we know that general awareness section, we need to clear the cutoff, and cutoffs are pretty low. At sometimes it's sometimes it's 3, 4, or sometimes it might even extend if paper's difficulty is less. But from last 2 years, it has been observed that IIFT tend to ask questions regarding logos, specifically of airlines as well as some business companies. So if you want to kind of score quickly 1 or 2 questions in general awareness, try to go on to the logos of different airlines and different companies in last day, or like you can do that in last day through any YouTube playlist that you might find. And you might be able to score in GA. You might be able to clear your cutoffs that are major hurdle sometimes. And secondly, in VARC section, in verbal ability, sometimes and most of times IIFT also asks questions regarding the foreign words and the origin and the meaning. So you can also go through video playlist, or some you can also download some document. There are some specific set of words that you need to prepare, some 100 or 200 words, and 1 or 2 might hit, and you might be able to score on those easy questions there.
And Rishabh, we've got a question from Rishabh. What safe score should I target being a gem? So Rishabh, you can calculate that. For the past 2 years, the composite score for the first call was around 42.5 or 42.6 for gem, right? For the open category. So you have got your 10th score, 12th score, whether you have a workx or not. Through those parameters, you'll be able to calculate the amount of composite score you would make on an amount of marks that you are getting in the IIFT exam. So you can actually get the amount of marks that you could have scored last year and got a call from IIFT last year. So that is given on the website, I guess.
Yeah, so I'd like
I
to
would like, yeah, please, Web. Go ahead.
Okay, so regarding that particular question that Rishabh asked regarding the profile, so basically me and Shashank both are engineers. So getting into IIFT being an engineer is not a difficult task as such, as approximately 70 to 80% of batch is of engineers. But you need to take into consideration that there is score of academic diversity and also of gender diversity as such, but you should try to maximize your IIFT examination score. And for the first round shortlisting, right, it is approximately 73%, 73 marks out of 100 is being dedicated to IIFT score. So your 300 marks would be scaled down by 73, and the more you get into IIFT's examination score, the better would be the chances to get a call for the first your shortlist for the first round. So basically, I got approximately 122 marks, and that was enough to fetch me into a first round's call. And for the second round, there is also after getting the shortlist for the first round, you need to kind of appear for the GD. Sorry, there was not GD last year, GD or WET, but we were given extempore and PI because of the COVID situation. And also the IIFT's weightage reduces to approximately 45%, and the 40 marks is being allocated to your extempore and PI. So extempore is basically you need to talk about a particular topic for about 2 minutes, and the weightage attached to that component is approximately 20 marks out of 100. So currently you should need to prepare on the IIFT's you should need to clear the IIFT examination. That should be a primary goal. But just after the exams get over, your next goal should be to kind of devote more times on the extempore and the PI section. You should try to kind of explore different areas and also focus on some internships, I might say, or some part-time work, because you will get sufficient time of 2 to 3 months before the interviews, and that might help in kind of creating an impact during that round.
Also, Gaurav Deva asks how to calm your nerves during the exam. I think all of us can relate to that. Everybody here has been worried about whatever exams they have written. So I think the first thing that you need to understand is, as and when you start your exam, go to a section that you know that either you know it or you don't know it. For example, GK and VA are sections where you are sure. In GK, you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. So you cannot create something there. So probably that could be a strategy. I am not going to define one strategy for anybody to pick, but I would like to say that please find your own by using it in mocks. Give IFT's previous year actual exams as mocks and try to figure out what works best for you. But maybe going and doing GK first will help you calm your nerves down, because you will be like, okay, I've done something and I stand somewhere on the exam. Then maybe you can go to VA and see whatever words you know them, and you're going to mark them and be sure of that. And as Vaibhav talked about, he used to segregate his questions into easy, medium, and tough. Maybe that is also a good way. By the time you're done with mediums, you'll have a you'll be a little confident than before. So also, since most of you guys have written CAT and are also writing other exams, this is not something that your life depends upon. So probably not taking that much worry or not really thinking too deep about one exam can also help you like calm your nerves down a little bit.
Yes,
Yes, I think that is true. Yeah, so I'll just speak a little about what sorry for that. So I'll just speak a little about how to calm your nerves. So yes, that, as my friend said, that you have to pick pick your choice of the best section that you have, and the which one you find the easiest, and start with that. Also, have a brackets in mind for all the 4 sections. Like something that I did during that time was I dedicated a particular time slot and a particular duration for each section beforehand while I was trying out with mocks. And I tried out different timings for different sections and see which worked out the best. So once you have a plan in mind of how you are going to approach the exam, I think it makes the task a little easier, and you're able to focus on the exam and not think too much about what the future will hold.
Shashank, I think so we can discuss more on the LRDI and quants front also, as there are some questions in the comment section.
So for strategy for QA in the last 7 days, I've been getting that question again and again. So I would say that for QA, you can practice from the previous year's papers, especially the papers that have come since IIFT went online. There's a huge difference in the level of difficulty between the paper when it was offline and online, both in the DILR section as well as the quant section. Talking about quant section. So the best thing about IIFT is I have given 2 attempts, I guess. Yeah, 2 attempts. And I saw in both the attempts and the previous attempt also that that the questions, some of the questions are directly formula based, or the familiarity thing actually works. Like I still remember a question, it was based totally on cosine rule. So cosine rule is not something that appears in CAT or is not very prevalent in other exams, other admats also. So higher maths, trigonometry, you can, those things can fetch you marks, because these questions don't usually appear in other exams, but IIFT is known for these kind of questions, and the question level is actually very easy. It is 10th level, but we actually ignore during the course of our preparation, right? And in maths also, you need to find the questions, the round approach that I am talking about. The easy questions are always hidden. I remember one more question last year, that y is equal to under root 552 plus under root 552. Those questions, that question is a very easy one. If it strikes at that point of time, it boosts your morale also. So people are talking about, my friends have been talking about calming your nerves. So familiarity thing works, I'm telling you. And your formula, revise your formulas. The questions on mensuration, which people dread, those can be directly from your formulas. They have appeared. You can talk about the DILR section.
Yeah, so basically it has been observed that DILR section of IIFT is more on the calculative front, and there are various questions on the DI side, data interpretation side, is on the graphs as such, be it a bar graph or pie chart or table. So there are three particular sections that you need to prepare on, and they are calculation intensive, and not more on the detective side as cat questions are. So you can kind of sharpen your skills on the calculation side. You need not to calculate to the decimal accuracy, but only to we can say the approximate calculations need to be done, and based on that you can clear at least 2 to 3 questions from the graph side. And the LR questions are also not that much difficult as compared to that of cat. If you are basically prepared for the cat LR questions, then it would be a piece of cake to appear for the LR questions of IIFT. Just the thing is that you need to take into consideration the time that you are devoting to the questions. And as said, on the quants front, there are also some easy questions on the LRDI front that you need to choose and pick up on, and try to do those questions first, and solving more calculation intensive question on the later side of the paper, where you have sufficiently or you have appeared for all the sections, and are confident that you have cleared the cutoffs for each of the section. Then you can go on to either quants or LRDI as is your strength. So this would be LRDI opinion from my side. If you want to add something on the LRDI.
Also, Roshan has asked, suggest some ways for non-engineers. So Akshat and I both are non-engineers, and maybe we can give a little bit about that. I think quant wasn't my strongest section. My strongest section was VA, and I remember seeing the entire VA section filled with answered questions, while I did not attempt all the QA questions. To be honest, some QA questions were very lengthy and they seemed intimidating. But if you actually go ahead and read it, they are not layered questions. They are formula-based questions, just like Shashank told. You should have formulas in your mind and you'll directly apply them. Or they were questions which were pretty easy arithmetics. Arithmetics usually look large, but they are not. You shouldn't get intimidated by the length of the questions, really. Also, since IIFT allows you to switch between sections, this can be the greatest advantage to you. Make use of it. Attempt in quants as much as you think you are able to rightly attempt. Don't play. Don't go ahead and mark questions which you are not sure about, and go ahead and solve for things which you are pretty sure about. For example, VA, or if you're good at GK and DILR, just like that. So since Weber spoke about how LR in IIFT is going to be different from CAT, while he thinks that it's pretty easier and a cakewalk, but I also think that it's very lengthy. It's not the same length as CAT. So here you have to read a lot. IIFT checks if you're strategically able to speed up the process of solving the question, and if you're smart enough to choose. I am a big believer of finding the right questions in IIFT, just like Shashank spoke, and I cannot relate to anything else more, because you actually do have to go ahead and segregate question by question as to this is most easy, this is easy, this is difficult, this is moderate, this is very difficult. So there are some questions put up there that you cannot solve because they're so layered and they actually don't want you to solve it. It's up to you to leave them and make a right decision right then and there, that I'm not going to attempt this, I'm going to attempt the different ones. So probably that strategy will develop only when you write IIFT past year mocks as past year actual exams as mocks. Maybe Akshat, you can speak about being a non-engineer and being able to crack it.
Sure. So, being a non-engineer, we are away from quants for a long time, and we really have a hard time during the start to navigate. But as Bhoomika rightly mentioned, that from the start you have to find out the easy topics that you can bank upon. For example, arithmetic, that comes a lot in IIFT. That is something that you can bank upon. And think about, if you find quants difficult, think about just getting a good score so that you can pass that barrier, the sectional barrier, and think about banking upon the other sections where you can maximize your scores. For me personally, I had a consistency among all these sections, and I was able to get a good composite score from there. But I was pushing for the DILR section more because I knew that I am strong in that section. So that is something that you guys can do as well.
Yeah. Also, Akshat, somebody in the chat has asked, how does it feel like to be a cultural secretary while also being making sure that you're academically doing well? Would you
So
like to
I
speak about that? The kind of
I think
activities that you're involved in, how much time does it take off your time and all of that?
so. I would just mention that since the start of start of our MBA, we are in a rigorous mode. So I think from there you learn how to manage different things at some point of time and how to prioritize. That is something that MBA teaches you, and that's how it's going.
Yeah, also I would like to add my 2 cents here because I think that the kind of rigor you are going through right now, you may feel like this is a lot exam after exams and, a very little gap and strategies to be made and so much smartness to be proved and everything. But I think once you come here, you'll realize why all of that was very important, why you had to go through the process of being on your own, divide time, understand sectional, differences, understand why maths is important and VA is important as well. Because once you're here, you are on your own. So you're doing competitions alone. You're taking care of your academics alone. You're seeing your corporate engagements alone. So nobody is really going to come up here and be your savior once you're here, except for the batch bonding. And it differs from college to college. At IFT, we're a small batch, so we always make sure that everybody at campus knows each other. Our seniors come to our help. They helped us through the entire terms that we've had at IIFT till now. IIFT functions on tri-semesters basis, so we get a lot of help from our seniors in that regards. We talk about when it comes to academics and extracurricular activities as well. Also, there's one more great initiative that it's not an initiative, it's something that has been going on for way long, but I think it's something that sets us apart is sport visits that we get to do in our second year. So I think if you guys make it to IFT, you not only get an opportunity to go to a port in India, but also abroad. And you guys get to choose a port that you want to go to. And then there are people who have gone as far as Dubai and Vietnam. And you get to spend time there learning about custom procedures, shipping services, and how international trade and port functions. So I think that is great. Also, this year, since COVID, the last 2 years, we didn't have the opportunity to go for student exchange program, but now it has opened, and at IFT we have a lot of students going into a lot of top colleges abroad, and people are going to Paris, and people are going to incredible colleges to study due to a student exchange program. So that is also a great opportunity, something that you can look forward to once you're here. A great batch bonding, lots of parties and fun, and a lot of academic rigor, because we study trade like nobody else. So yeah, I think we'd like to speak. Sure.
Yeah. I think we have more questions on, the cutoffs. So the cutoffs between IIFT Delhi and Kolkata, the difference is very meager. It's only 1 or 2 marks, maximum 2 to 3 marks, and right. What is the average stage 1 score out of 100 for those who get IIFT call? Yeah, we'll have to run some normalization techniques, I guess, for to answer this question. So
yeah, so there was also a question that I saw regarding the WorkX and its impact on the selection. So I would like to say that clearing the first stage of the getting a call would not involve that much impact of WorkX, but during your PI and during the second round, your WorkX might matter more, as if you have WorkX or if you are involved in some projects or some of the internships that you have done, that would matter more. Regarding the score front, it is not that much impactful. It is nominal. You get only 3 marks out of 100 for 36 months work experience, full-time work experience, while it reduces based on your time of work experience. Less than 12 months, you might not get any marks. But the more impactful thing would be how would you present your experience during your personal interview, as they tend to focus more on that aspect during your personal interview side. What have you done, and how was it impactful on the organization, and what kind of learnings did you get during that particular project or work experience? So that would be it on the work experience side, and basically the cutoffs as shared by the Sashank, it like we'll have to run some normalization, and the cutoffs for Kolkata or Delhi only differentiate by 1 or 2 marks. They are not major difference between Kolkata or Delhi cutoffs, and both of the institutes are kind of sister colleges and have equal kind of experience that is being provided on both the institutes.
Yeah, maybe I'd like to speak a little bit about that. There are a lot of corporate engagements throughout the year. You get to be a part of case competitions. Kolkata is equally participating in competitions with us as we are doing. So I think the batch. We get to we have our exams together. We get to study the same subjects. We get to a lot of faculty from IIFT Delhi goes to IIFT Kolkata to teach them, and a lot of faculty come in from IIFT Kolkata to Delhi to teach us. So I think that would be a relevant information for now before you guys appear for an exam.
So, Jessica, dealing with anxiety during exam, I would say that always go towards your GK section and your verbal ability section in order to, gain some momentum. Or if you are good at quants, then solve quants. Uh, I mean, for there are people, there are engineers who come from IIT or an IT background, and they go ahead with quants at one go. I mean, their starting point is quants because when you're fresh, you can do numbers quickly. Also, one more thing that I'd like to add would be the DILR section is sometimes quite calculation intensive. You get multiple graphs in some questions, and to solve those type of questions, you have to look at the question first, because sometimes it could be the fact that the data in the question is very less, but the question is in itself is very tricky. So do not go towards that question. While in some questions, in some sets, there are graphs, multiple graphs, but the question is as easy as what is the growth from since 2015 to 2017, right? So try to find these. You will have to play it smart. It's only a case of decision making, right?
Somebody just asked if there is a way to connect with us or something like that. Maybe you can route your questions through IFT Media.com, which you can find on any platforms, or you can find us on LinkedIn and probably drop text. Vaibhav and Shashank are both really good at maths and DILR probably. So maybe you can route those questions to them if it comes to that. Also, dealing with anxiety, maybe I'd like to speak about it a little bit as well. It's not only about you cracking one exam or two, something like that. Everything that you've ever worked on till now in your life comes together and brings you here. So you're not only tested on your mathematics or English or something like that. You're tested on your manners during the interview. You're tested on how you speak about your life. What do you value in your life? Your gap years are not really judged, but they're given I think for the first time in your life, in an interview, in an MBA interview, you're given a platter where you get to speak about how has your gap year been and what have you really done in those times. So maybe use it to justify all of that and not really worry about lesser work experience or more work experience. I know people in my batch who are 29 years old, and I know people in my batch who have just turned 20. All of them are here and we need each of them. I mean, nobody is less or more. So I think not worrying about all of that and not taking care of everything else except for exam is going to be helpful right now. Focus on what is in your hands. Can you change your 10th, 12th grad scores right now? You cannot do anything about it. So worrying about the same thing, I mean, it won't really help you anyway. Also, I think once the exams are over, when it comes to GDPI, somebody asked in the live, will it be a GD or an extempore this time? We're not sure. We didn't know until it came to us as well. What that helps you do is be prepared for everything. I mean, you guys can form small groups. If you're taking coaching or if you're not, you can ask your friends to come together and help you with that. Take each other's interviews, get friends a little bit, and maybe conduct GDs among yourselves. You'll get to be in a group. During our time, we had an extempore. So it was online and we received a link. We were given the topic and we were talking about the extempore topic for as long as, I think, do anybody remember the time limit? I think it was some 2 minutes or so. I don't
Yes,
remember.
it was around 2 to 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, and then immediately after that, you were interviewed. I know a lot of people who spoke about something during their extempore and were questioned about the same thing in the interview. That is carried forward because that's a representation of who you are. So I think everything that you're doing, everything that you're putting in your minds from now, or whatever you have ever spent your time before, don't consider a hobby less or more. Speak about it wherever you get a chance to speak about it. So I think that is also important. If anybody wants to speak about GDPI or extempore experience or something, some input that you want to give, probably we can give that.
Yeah, so I'd like to say on my experience of giving extempore, we were not having GD or WET, but directly extempore as said by Bhoomika, and the time limit was approximately 2 to 2.5 minutes, and you are given topic on spot, and you are given preparation time of approximately a minute or 30 seconds to a minute, and you need to start speaking on that topic. My topic was basically cryptocurrency, and you might also be given similar kind of topic that is currently trending, and not quite exotic topics, but some related to some what we can say current affairs or some major happenings around the world. So you might want to start reading some editorials or some business newspapers as soon as your exam finishes, to start preparing on the extempore part. And regarding your PI, that is basically, as said by Bhumika, it's a culmination of all your life events and activities that you have done. Majorly focusing on your work experience, if you have work experience, or if you are a fresher, then you might focus on your college projects or some internships that you might have done. That particular aspect you can punch upon, or you can also focus on some major achievements that you might have done. So basically we also had to fill a form after getting a call, and that form involved some achievements on your work experience side, or if you are a fresher, then you might have achieved some international or national level competitions if you had cleared those, or if you had represented and some national or international level events. So you can that form had needs to be filled, so you can start kind of collecting those particular documents. You might need to provide some proof of that particular events. So just as your exam finishes, you can start working on those particular things. Also, if you are a fresher, then you might want to focus on some live projects or some kind of activities that you might be able to portray in your PI, that I had done this thing after the examinations were over. So I had basically done an internship of 2 months before the interviews, and that particular thing in finance helped me a lot during the interview, because major of my questions revolved around that particular activity. And they the interviews are taken by professor themselves of the college, and they pick clues from what you give during your introduction. So try to focus and try to prepare the introduction of that might be of a minute or two, but that is one of the major impactful things during the second round. And you can showcase your achievements or your strengths during that particular section.
So there's a question that we can take up. That's through IFT, do we only learn IB or also from Indian perspective? Also, can we choose any specialization in the second year? So I'll just talk about it, and you guys can also pitch in for that. So I think IB has an added advantage. You learn marketing, finance, and various other domains from an international perspective as well as from the country's perspective. That is an added advantage, that you get to also explore what other global terms and things that are happening around the world. So it helps you to gain a holistic perspective from that, but you also get to learn about the country's aspect also.
Yeah. Also, in your once your once your second trisem ends, you get to choose your majors and minors. As answering the same question, second part, you get to IFT has our trade majors. We have you can choose 6 subjects of trade to study. I don't think you can do that in any other college in India at that level. So I think that is also a great opportunity here. You get to choose trade subjects. We get to do majors and minors in I think a lot of domains like marketing, finance, strategy, operations, trade, and what else do you guys remember? Some?
Yeah, so we had six domains basically.
Yeah.
So trade, IT also,
Yeah,
and
IT.
different streams that were open for us during the second year. So we can pursue as per our likings and our strengths as well. So this is about the specialization part.
Yeah.
We have also, like, there are also questions regarding the minimum score that you need to kind of clear to get a call. But I would say that try not to focusing on that part as to kind of set a minimum, because that might create some anxiety on your front, that I need to score this much, I need to score that much. But try to maximize your score. That would be a better strategy. And as said, the two round strategy worked for me, most of us. But if you are getting scores by following your strategy of going through paper at once, in the mocks, like you kind of, you have appeared for some mocks previously, and you are getting some marks on that mocks as well as attending the previous year papers, then you can go on to that strategy also. It is not kind of common to all of us. It's basically unique to each of us. But the strategy that worked for us, me and Shashank and Bhoomika, Akshat, we kind of shared that particular strategy. And try to focus on maximizing your score and not to focus on minimum score that you might need to clear to get a call. That would be a more better approach.
Yeah, and
One more question. Yeah.
P-
Yeah.
sorry to cut you. Piyush has asked if it is important to have WorkX or not before coming to IIFT. I think there is no limit to who you can be here. There are people who are freshers, there are people who have WorkX, there are people who have had their own startups, there are people who have, all kinds of experience. You can expect anyone to be here. There is no limit. Please do not put a bar on yourself. Do not try to define yourself without somebody telling you that this is a rule. Whatever is mentioned on the website is that is it. It all depends on your interview. If you can justify where you have worked, why you have worked there, and what have you taken out of it, especially why you have left the job now that you're going to pursue an MBA, and what are you going to look forward to, I think it is all done. Do not at all fall for the trap of being a fresher or not, taking up a job or not, gap year or not, WorkX less or more. These things do not matter in the greater realm of being here.
That's the question I wanted to take. I mean, she audible? Yeah. So, I mean, you do not have to focus on that right now because, yes, you do not have to focus on that right now. Do not let it impact your scores, your preparation, because we know people who have got zero WorkX certificates, but they ace the exams and they ace the interviews as well because they have got some kind of explanation as to why everybody's situation differs. And you can also calculate the amount of score that you need. I mean, I mentioned that for that would be a safe score. Of course, it will be on the higher end, but it will be a safe score. Like for the final selection criteria, you see, you've got 45 marks for your GDPI or extempore PI, and 40 marks for your IFT score. That gives you 85. That's a huge chunk. And then 8 marks for academics. That's your final selection criteria. So 93% of the marks is in your hand. Of course, academics is not, but if you've got decent or average academics, then that does the trick. So focus on acing the exam and the PI when you get a call. And I think you're going to make it. Do not let anything your past, something that is uncontrollable, do not let it impact your future 5 or 6 months. That can land you up in a good college. Right?
Yeah. Also, the IIFT exams weightage, I think, is 75% before the VAT is has happened. But in the final list that we received, it was only 45% that Vaibhav also spoke about at the beginning. So whatever, I mean, even after the exam, you shouldn't take. Do not judge yourself by your own performance. You cannot, because the degree falls down from 75 to 45. I mean, that is a lot. So I think somewhere there you should be sure that if you've got a call, you should start working. There is no limit to who can be here. Delhi, Kolkata, lesser, higher percentile scores. I know people from all sorts of percentile being here, and I know people with great percentiles being in Kolkata as well. So both colleges are at par with each other, and probably we shouldn't get into all of that has been talked about. Yeah. Any other question or anything, Akshat, you want to speak about uh, life
Yes,
at
so
IFT here or maybe campus, anything?
So I'll just speak about what you guys were talking about because I am a fresher and I had a gap year. But so if you've done well in the exam and if you are able to justify what you did and your year was productive, and you justify it in the interview and you give your interview well, I think you can crack it because that is what I did. I banked upon my IFT percentile and then prepared very hard for the interview so that I can convert the call that I'm getting, because IFT was one of the best calls that I had.
Also, questions like what is the score for OBC non-engineer and this and that probably is not relevant right now, because you cannot tell yourself that tomorrow I'm going to go write an exam and I'm going to attempt only this much that I can score 100 or that I score a 75. You cannot do that, right? You don't know what you're doing while you are in the exam. So probably just like Vaibhav has been reiterating for so long, try maximizing, focus on maximizing the score that you write now, wherever you are at. Keep writing mocks, maybe that is substantial. Make a diary, keep writing your progress, know which section is working the best for you, and probably then decide your strategy. Do not take any one of our strategy as it is. You cannot like carry that forward from here. Yeah, also maybe we are like 4 minutes from closing the session. So probably maybe I can just give some happy ending to it if you guys allow. There's a lot of fun amidst everything that, it may seem like a big thing right now, but once you're here, we have a lot of events. In a few days, we are having our grand alumni reunion where all the alums from IFT, which, people from 1970s and even before come together and speak to us, and, we get an opportunity to interact and talk to them. So all of this, a great, wide, beautiful, fun world is waiting for you to, accept you. And we are looking for ways to get you here. That is why we've all come here and tried helping you. Also, we are constantly involved in a lot of activities, like we have our TEDx coming in, where we get speakers from outside of IFT to speak for us. We have movie nights where we all sit together and watch matches and watch movies and try to give ourselves that brush off the feelings of having had a hard day. We have our grand sports event, which is UWL, which is IFT exclusive, where we not only engage in a lot of sports activities, but we also try to give it a management touch, where we all get to brand our teams, and we all get to become managers for those teams, and try to sell it to each other, and probably we make it a big thing here. We have Trade Winds, which is IFT's International Business Conclave, where we get speakers on all domains, people as high or as top a position as VPs or CEOs and top management appear in and feature in our conclave and symposiums, where we speak about different domains like marketing, finance, trade, operations, systems, IT, and others. We have a lot of committees, clubs, and cells active at IFT. They're constantly working to make the life that we have here happening and more worthy. So you can become a part of it. Everybody gets to have their fair share of being here, and you get to leave a mark. Maybe focus on what you have right now, and once you're here, we can all help you through everything else that needs to be helped through. Yeah, any parting thoughts by anybody else? Welcomed.
And all the best to everyone who's writing the exam, who is going through this thing. I mean, all of us, yeah, all of us understand that this is a tough time, but really it isn't. I mean, you need to have self confidence, because these papers are tough. We do realize that these papers are tough. We have gone across them over years and years, but this thing, when you get past this, it'll be great, right? So all the best to everyone else. Yeah.
Yes, all the best, everyone. It seems hard now, but it will all be worth it once you get a good percentile and you will crack one exam or the other. All the best for it.
Similar thoughts from my end. So wishing you all the best for the IIFT examination, and would be waiting for you on the other side. after you kind of excel in the examinations. So yeah, all the best.
Yeah, and we would also like to give a special mention to IFT's Media Committee, which has organized this session for all of you guys. We are here and you're all here, and thank you to the Cracku team. It is only because of them and MediaCom that we are able to, answer you and help you through it. If there's anything else you need help with, or any questions whatsoever, any feedback whatsoever, please direct it through IFT's Media Committee to us, and we'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you.